Hi guys, welcome back. So I've got a bit of a special one today. I've done some really popular videos lately on UK knife law, and one of the knife manufacturers reached out to me, and this was a UK based manufacturer, and he said, I would love you to take a look at this knife. You know, I think it fits really well with what you're doing. And I have to agree, it's a perfect fit for the things we're talking about at the moment. So I had seen one of these knives some time ago and it caught my eye, and then I completely forgot who had manufactured it. So it was on my mind and I kept thinking, who made that thing? And I couldn't remember, and I kept looking around for it and I just didn't see it again until this guy reached out to me. So thank you, Who Knives. It's H-O-O, Who Knives in the UK. And the guy's name is Carl, lovely guy, and he sent me a package for me to have a look at, and that's what we're going to do today. So why is this so pertinent? Because of course there's been some discussion about EDC blades in the UK. I've had recent problems with a flipper knife that I ordered in. There's been all kinds of debate around whether flippers fall foul of the flick knife regulations that have recently been updated. And, you know, customs are seizing them. Police are kind of mistakenly taking them off of people in their private homes, saying that they're flick knives when in fact they're not. And this is a knife that gives the best of both worlds. So it can flip open, so it's a bit like a flipper knife, but it doesn't lock out. So it's the perfect blend for UK EDC. It has a sub 3-inch blade, and the whole blade is sub 3 inches, so there can be no sort of worries there. You know, there's also been some talk lately. There was a court case which makes it entirely likely that even if your cutting edge of your blade is sub 3 inches, if the entirety of the blade itself, including non-cutting edge parts of it, were longer than 3 inches, you might get into trouble. It would certainly likely end up in court, and that could go either way. But you know, most of us don't want to risk that, and a lot of the police that are searching and finding these things on people, they're not going to know the intricacies of this law. They're not solicitors. They're just going to measure the blade in its entirety, look at it being over 3 inches, and you're probably going to end up sat in the cells. So that's not something I want to do. Now let's have a look at what we've got. It came in this beautiful little Pelly type case. It's even got a quality control pass on the back, and it's numbered, so that's all signed off, which is nice to see. Beautiful little display case there, really handy. Open that up, and it's all lined with foam. Then we've got the knife, which I'll get out in a second, and then a few accoutrements in there. We've got a nice little cleaning cloth. The Who Knives story. The Who Knives was founded in 2021 as a project hoping to release premium production knives of our designs at a fair price. The logo inspiration from the Sutton Hoo helmet, one of the artifacts that comprise what is widely considered the greatest treasure ever discovered on Great British soil. It goes on to give some more information there. The guarantee from Who Knives. It's a lifetime warranty. The knives will be fully guaranteed against any manufacturing faults or defects which become apparent during the life of the knife. The knife must be in its original configuration to be eligible to receive warranty or maintenance services. Any modifications may void your warranty. An outline of such modifications can be found on whoknives.com. If a Who Knives fails to function as it was originally designed due to faulty workmanship or materials such as defects, it will be made good free of cost. This guarantee does not cover natural materials, normal wear and tear, incorrect applications, neglect, misuse, abuse, modifications, or other mistreatment. So a brilliant warranty. And there you've got all your information about Who Knives, so take a look at them, guys. I really suggest you check them out. We've got a sticker there. You can see the helmet that was discussed. And then, very nice, they've got some dimensions there of the knife. And again, even more on the back. And then we've got a couple of really cool stickers. So brilliant presentation. You know, the first thing I noticed was how good that presentation is. It's so nice to receive something that's really, really well boxed and cared for and has clearly had a lot of time and effort put into it. You know, all the little cards and stickers are greatly appreciated as well. Who doesn't like to receive stuff like that? And it also comes in this nice little satin type bag with a drawstring on top. And finally, we get to the knife itself. So really, really nice looking. And at first, it does just look like a locking knife, doesn't it? It looks like a locking flipper knife. It's got thumb studs and, of course, the flipper on the back. But although it is a flipper knife, it is also a double detent. So it doesn't actually lock out at all. It's super, super fidgety. This design on the handle, the shape actually reminds me a little bit of a Strider, which I really like that design. And it's very, very comfortable. Very comfortable indeed. It's got a cutaway there for the finger. Now, that's a little bit of a clever design, because that cutaway, once your finger sits in there, you can see that flipper piece there is actually blocked by my finger. So if I did anything with that knife and it wanted to close, it cannot close because my finger is in the way. So that's an excellent safety mechanism there. And if someone were to argue, well, that's a flipper stud, you could also argue in return, well, it does poke out and I can push it and actually flick the blade out, but its purpose is as a safety mechanism, because its purpose is to block my finger so that this non-locking knife can't shut on my hand. Very, very clever indeed. Now, it also comes with these removable thumb studs, and that's another interesting thing, because I think if you watch the videos on the UK law surrounding these flipper knives, one of the things that came up was someone did ask, someone from the Home Office, a lady from the Home Office was asked, you know, what kind of opening mechanisms did she think fell within that new law and what she didn't. She gave a very grey answer, but what she did say was that she felt that thumb studs were absolutely fine. So that led to a lot of the kind of people producing flipper type knives moving over to thumb studs. Heine Haynes, for example, which is a UK seller of knives, they will sell knives with thumb studs that you can flip open, you know, quite easily. We can also flick it open with the thumb studs, and that would fall within what someone from the Home Office has said is perfectly permissible. They refuse to make comments on any other opening styles, which I think is, you know, part of their kind of slightly disingenuous secret policy to ensnare all kinds of opening mechanisms under this flick knife regulation, which is obviously complete bunk, given the flick knife regulation is dependent on the blade opening automatically, i.e. without human intervention. And on any of the mechanisms, you know, whether it be a thumb stud, a flipper tab, none of those open automatically. They all have human intervention. But this comes with the thumb studs, so you could leave them on there and argue, you know, all day long that, well, they've been clarified as being completely fine. If you wished, you could remove them. It did say they were removable. I'm guessing they unscrew. I haven't actually done that. I'm quite happy for them to be there. But the easiest way to open this knife is with the flipper. If I had to make one sort of small quirk with this, it's that it is quite difficult to actually flick it open with the thumb studs. And I think that's, you know, in part because they're kind of a secondary opening method that's probably been put on there to assuage anyone's fears about this regulation and law, or it's just for people that like another opening method. Now, it's slightly difficult to deploy with the thumb studs, but that's a double-edged sword, because obviously a double detent knife, you want it to keep itself locked up, so when it's in the pocket it's not going to sort of fly open. And this is really secure, guys. It isn't going to drop open and kind of cut your pockets up or cut into your leg. And I would, to be honest, sacrifice, you know, ease of opening with thumb stud all day long if it ensures that when I'm carrying this in my pocket, it is utterly safe for me to do so. So while I'm saying that's a slight moan, and the guy from Who Knives, Carl, did say, if you've got anything, you know, go hard on this knife. If you've got any issues with it at all, bring it up in the video. So awesome for saying that. You know, a lot of manufacturers may not have that same opinion. Carl did. He really wanted me to go through this with a fine tooth comb, and that was my only sort of caveat, that you know, that was slightly difficult, but I think it's worthwhile. I don't want a knife that can just ping open when I don't expect it to, and this never will. And the other thing I liked about this was that even though it locks up pretty hard, it also takes quite a lot of force to push that blade back in. So that means it's a really nice functional blade to use. It's not sort of flopping around all the time, and it does take a little bit of force. It does sort of wear down a bit and become slightly easier. When I got it new, it was quite tough, but you know, it's still quite tough, and you do have to exert quite a lot of pressure to put that blade away. You can sometimes get an occasional bounce if you flick it down really, really hard. You see, I can get a little bit of bounce on there. That is the nature of the double detent mechanism. You're never going to get away from that. You just have to kind of get used to how hard you need to flick it back down. And what you'll find, and what I love about these things, is I tend to fiddle with them all the time, and I'm just sat there, you know, flicking it in and out. I've already driven people mad at work with this last week. It's taken over as my main fiddle knife, and I've been using it at work for all kinds of tasks, and it is absolutely excellent. The blade is a fantastic shape. It's got that swedge at the top there. You can just see that catching the light. It's obviously not sharp. It's just a swedge shape. This being the V3 version, so Who Knives have gone through 3 versions here, and this blade shape is, I believe, a sort of hybrid of the other two. So we've got this spear point blade shape. It came in absolutely shaving sharp. You can see hairs jumping up there if the light's catching that, but it is shaving sharp. There you go. So perfectly sharpened blade, and it's Bowler M390 steel, so a fantastic blade steel. Very, very functional blade shape. Like I said, I've been using this at work, and it's done everything from box cutting to digging bits of frag out of gelatin, and I've been quite happy. Normally I wouldn't use a double detent for that kind of work, and I've actually been super happy to use this. So that makes a nice change for me, because often I'll take a lock knife to work to do that kind of job, and as things are getting more Orwellian in this country, and you're kind of worried more and more about what you're carrying around, it's nice to carry something like this and be able to do some pretty heavy duty tasks with it and not worry too much. And also the fact it just looks like a premium thing. It's nice to hold, it's nice to carry. So instead of having a sort of boring Swiss Army knife or something like that, you've still got this fun little thing that you can flip in and out and do all your functional jobs with. Lanyard hole at the rear, and I might even put a little lanyard on there. And then we've got that recessed deep carry pocket clip. It's ultra deep carry. Look at that. It's way above the end of the knife there, so it completely disappears in the pocket, and it's really nicely machined as well. It's got a good amount of spring on, not too tough, and it doesn't wear your fabric on your pocket out because it's just pressing against this TI scale. This is really high-end TI as well, guys. It's I think it's called grade 5 titanium, and I don't know much about titanium grades in terms of knives, but it's beautiful to hold, really, really nice. And the machining on this, all the edges are really soft, so you don't catch your fingers on anything. There's nothing that's rough and horrible. You know, it's all nice and smooth. The machining is absolutely beautiful. The pocket clip can actually be mounted either side for left or right carry, and it's obviously a tip up carry, as you can see. So you can't mount it on the other side. There's nothing there. It can only be mounted that way, but it absolutely carries like a dream. You can see excellent blade centering. We get that level. Really well done. We've got some jimping on that flipper there, and that's useful because, like I said, that detent does hold the blade in quite well, so it's good to have a bit of a jimping on there to kind of get that leverage. The action on it is super smooth, very nice indeed, and not too floppy. You know, what I wouldn't like is you can sort of throw it shut, but it's not kind of flopping around. On a double detent, I don't want the blade to be too floppy and kind of flipping in and out. I want to have that control over it so I can use it nice and safely. Like I say, the fit and finish is absolutely perfect on this. I've got no complaints there. In fact, I've got no complaints really about anything on this knife whatsoever. It is maybe the ultimate EDC fidget knife in the UK. I don't know of any other flipper knives in the UK that are UK EDC legal. So that means basically in the UK, you can have a sub 3-inch blade and it cannot lock, and this fulfills that criteria. For the German viewers, it also fulfills criteria for you, because in Germany, you cannot have a knife that both opens in one hand and locks. You can't carry that around as an EDC. So this only does one. It opens one hand, but it doesn't lock out. Now, I recently went to Germany. I was in Nuremberg, and I actually took a Kaiser mini sheepdog with me, and it was the non-locking version, and that flips in and out, so it's a one-handed opener. I did get stopped at the airport. They searched my bag, and they asked specifically, you know, you've got a knife in there, let's have a look. So I got it out, and straight away she was like, oh, this opens with one hand. And I said, yes, it does, but it doesn't lock. It was a double detent. She actually looked slightly disappointed about that. She went off and got some advice from someone, came back and kind of sadly told me, yes, you can keep that. And she let me go about my business. So I do know that if you've got a double detent over there, even if it opens one-handed, that seems to be the way to go. Who have got currently two versions of these. You've got this one, which is a kind of satin blade finish and the silver titanium. And then they've got another one, which is what they call the blackout version, where, of course, you've got a black coated blade and it looks like a slightly darker TI handle. From what I understand, there'll be some opportunity to upgrade parts of these. I think there might be some scales coming out. If not available already, then they probably will be at a later date. And you could, if you're up for it, and I'm considering it, I've never done it before, but you could easily take this apart, disassemble it. I've seen people disassemble this one online, and it looks like a pretty reasonable job to do. And then take those scales and anodize them or heat treat them to get some really nice coloration in there. So I might give that a go. If I do, I'll film the process. I'll let you guys know how it goes. I'm not an expert in metal work by any degree, so that could be a risk for what is in terms a knife that I actually want to use and keep. Pricing on these, I think, is very reasonable. For some people, there's always going to be some people that say, whoa, that's too much. I don't like paying a lot of money for knives. That's fine, guys. If you don't like paying a lot of money for knives, there are plenty of options, in the sort of 10 to 50 pounds category. So no one's knocking that. But if you want a knife made out of premium materials with a lifetime warranty, so remember, when you buy this, as long as you don't abuse it and you use it in the proper manner, that money is going to get you a knife for the rest of your life. Any time that it goes wrong, you can send it back and it's going to come back in working condition again. So bear that in mind. The price on this is around the 160 to 170 mark. If I remember rightly, it was about 164. And I personally think that's a really good price. There are knives that are a lot less well made than this, that cost a lot more. I've certainly seen plenty of those myself, and this could easily be a £300 knife given the types of materials that are in use. So in short, I absolutely thoroughly recommend this. I will be using it more and more. It's a joy to use. It's a joy to fiddle with and mess around with. I've just been sat there so much, just messing about with it. It feels really good in the hand. I would definitely suggest you get one, guys. If you're a collector, it's a really cool thing to have a UK manufacturer that's producing their own knives. Very, very unusual. There's not many of those left. So support your local economy, support your local businesses. Get on the website and order yourselves one. Guys, thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure. Who Knives, thank you very much. This is absolutely awesome. And I'm going to keep an eye on you guys and see what else is coming out from you. Probably keep an eye out for some custom scales and stuff like that. But this is a fantastic job, and thank you ever so much for reaching out and getting in contact. I hope you're all staying legal and keeping an eye on what the law is, and you're not rocking around with anything you shouldn't be. And this is a way that you can still enjoy your knife collection and take it out and not be at risk of getting any grief. Take care, guys. I'll see you all soon.